Always remember, the United States likes to do things big, and they like to make an entrance. And before they do make an entrance, they don't like anyone else to know what they're doing. They've been working on DLT research and experimentation for a long time. They've had close relationships with Ripple for a long time. Their guy, Christopher Waller, said, well, he was talking about that one in the private sector and said it'll take more time. Then mysteriously, the SEC, against all better judgment, they decide to go against us again, which buys more time. So their guy, and when I say their guy, I look at all the government as one, all the United States government as one entity. That's on them. All right. And I look at the people as one. But their guy said they needed more time, and then the SEC buys them more time. Now, what it does, a lot of it, is it allows the illusion that the United States does not want a CBDC system, is not working on one. It allows that to continue. So regular people are not looking at the bank coins. They're not looking at the utility coins heavy. Most people are just involved with either Bitcoin or not at all. Right? They don't know about Chainlink. They don't know about XRP or any of these other things. Quant. They don't know about Flare. And so XRP is at the forefront. You got to keep that one quiet. If they learn about XRP, they learn about everything else. So then what's been happening? All their friends behind the scenes been buying up all these cryptos. How do we know that? They're getting reported. It's been getting reported for months. All these countless huge batches of bank coins being purchased. Multitudes of them. Right? And who's doing that? And it's at times where almost nobody else is purchasing. Then all of a sudden these mystery purchases is proxy. Those are proxy purchases, not financial advice. And listen, I'm not a psychic or any of that. Obviously, this is my humble opinion. Those are proxy purchases. Those companies are getting in position quietly. Same thing they did with Bitcoin. Knowing all the while United States is working on something major. And some of these companies are going to be involved. And when they finally announce it, that's when you're probably going to get that huge explosion. They will come out of nowhere. They will come out of nowhere with it. And you will they'll spring this new system on you. Like, how many of you really knew about Zelle before all these banks just start using it? It just came out of nowhere, seemingly out of nowhere. Right? And I'm just saying, this is how the United States likes to do things. Before they come out with a new fighter craft, the air fighter, an airplane craft, do they tell anybody about it? No, they just spring it on you. They worked on it piece by piece over the years quietly, right? Everyone believes they weren't working on a thing. Then they just spring it on you. Here's the new thing. Same thing will happen with the new financial system. Now, they keep the people distracted with the rest of the world. Even Ripple is in on it when it comes to that aspect. Ripple has to know. They're working on the projects. They know how explosive XRP can be. They're holding a huge amount of it, not just for business, but it's for their own benefit as well. Let's make no mistake about it. A man does not get a tattoo of XRP on his body unless he's going to benefit from that thing and love that thing and loves it for a reason. Right? So they keep the world distracted with the rest of the globe. Oh, we're working in Europe. That's definitely major. We're working in the UK. Big time. We're working in the MENA region. We're working in Africa. Look at our work in Asia. Well, everybody's looking over there. Once again, we have seen through documentation, the Fed has never stopped their experimentation. And I ask you, if they're going to come out and they say this to the people, oh, we're not working. We don't need a CBDC system. We're not going to be deploying a CBDC system. Then what are they working on? Why are they experimenting with DLT for the last 4 years consistently? You know what it is. In my humble opinion, they want the private sector to lead the way. Number one, they want the private sector to take all the burden. Sure, you can have all of the benefit as well. The lion's share of the benefit as well. All those trillions or quadrillions, if it's successful. But if it's not, and the people rebel and they say, hey, we don't want a CBDC or digital currency from the government, from the central banks, really central banks, government, same thing. We don't want it from the central banks or from the private sector. Well, then the private sector are the ones who take the brunt of the blame, the punishment, the negativity. See? But if it's successful, then the private sector also took all the risk, but the central banks will still get their fair share. So without taking any of the risk. You see how that works? It seems like that's the game that they're playing right now. So now what are we talking about? We're talking about a massive, if they pull off what I just mentioned, which will be easy at this point. There's so many distractions. There's so much chaos going on. We're talking about life-altering value. We're talking about life-altering explosions. Prices that most people would say are unbelievable right now become possible in that scenario. And then on top of that, with, let's say, a company like Ripple, they're not the only one. Just using them as an example. With a company like Ripple working closely with the government, that means they have their respect. That means they're going to get the golden key to the palace. With the golden key to the palace, it gets easy to start moving those quadrillions in value. Quadrillions. Listen, folks, look at the numbers. I say this and some people don't take it serious. Trillions from RWA. Trillions from interbank payments every single day, 24/7, 365. That becomes quadrillions over years. Interbank B2B cross-border payments. Trillions. When this lion is unleashed, there is absolutely no way any of these things stay down. Not Solana, not Chainlink, not XRP. There's no way. Sure, it's taking time, but there's never been anything more worth waiting for when it comes to an asset. There's never been anything more worth waiting for. And I'm a gold guy. Primarily, I love gold. And I think gold is going to keep going up. But even gold, I think when it comes to explosion and how fast and how high this could actually go, I think people are going to see something they've never seen before. They don't believe it now. They can't believe it now. You're not going to convince them either. It's just too unfathomable. So I use that terminology a lot. I'm not joking around. I'm not kidding around. I continue to lay the trillions down for people to look at and consider. Look at all the connections. Look at how the people and the intermediaries are resisting and not using any of the major central bank systems yet. They're there. They rejected Fed now. They rejected the, whatever the CBDC is that they have in China. I think it was either Hong Kong or mainland, whichever one. They rejected that one. Look at India. And they've rejected it in India so much. India in certain regions had to force the people to use their system. The people and intermediaries don't want those central banks in charge anymore. They don't want this new system where they don't benefit. Which means if these bank coin companies, once again, if they play it right, all they have to do is be fair to the people. I'm telling you now. Why? It's not just because the people can benefit and will benefit. Well, there's just a few of us, really. It's not a lot of people, unfortunately. It's just not the way that it is. But not only will the people benefit, but with the okay of the people allow those big institutions to flood these things with capital. But they need that. Okay, I'm telling you right now, I know some people like to say, oh, the big institutions and the higher ups don't care about the people on the bottom. It's not about them caring. The people on the bottom have power. They need the people on the bottom. Without the people on the bottom, they're nothing at the top. They're nothing. Their businesses run off the people on the bottom. Their banks run off the people on the bottom. They need the people on the bottom. They have to be in agreement. This is why they have a problem right now. Like I said, you read the China report on how their CBDC was rejected. You see how Fed now failed. You heard from Christopher Waller. What more do you need? And we're about to see something with the ECB. This is why the ECB right now is trying to take their time. They have a problem on their hands. And on top of that, they're considering doing something that if they do it, we will dominate outright 100%. I'm not going to go too deep. You want to know more about that? Go in the members only section. Watch a few videos back. A few videos back, you're going to see. We're talking absolute domination worldwide, possibly. Here's another thing. When it comes to RWA and commodities tokenizing that value that's in the ground. There's value in the ground. You don't have to take it out. You can tokenize that. I'm telling you, right? With that amount of capital, you're talking about untapped gold, untapped platinum. You can scan it with the radar, LiDAR, whatever it is. Scan it right there in Earth. Calculate how much it is. Tokenize that right now before you even move it. Store that value in that. The digital system does the rest. The rest is history. Now, with that, because of the chaos, geopolitical tension, some of these regions are not going to be letting the West just roam about and take what they want like they used to. It's not going to happen. Then on top of that, some people will say, well, BRICS nations is in there now, and they're trying to do the same thing the West used to do. Is different. It's going to be different. A lot of those nations taking back their power. And when I'm talking about untapped resources, a lot of that are in regions that the BRICS nation is not. Well, a lot of those nations are going to be a part of the BRICS nations, but outside forces are not going to be the ones tapping into that. You look in Latin America. Don't forget Latin America. It's on the rise. And they have a lot of, number one, they have a lot of untapped resources in the ground, right? Commodities. They have a lot of manpower. People are willing to work. They're ready to work. They're ready to start businesses. They're doing it right now. There's a lot of expats moving out the United States. They want out. They're moving to Latin America. A lot of other places. I'm using Latin America as an example now. They're going to benefit from their own untapped value as well as tapped values, mostly for the first time. And I say mostly, how else would I say that? They will be the main benefiters as opposed to outside forces for the first time in a long time. And they're ready to rise. You got to look at this information. This is why I was telling people, listen, first of all, folks, I've been around a long time. I know a lot of people. I'm close to a lot of people that are from Central South America like this. And I've seen it when they came over here and they worked hard, stuff. They're going back. They got business. They have businesses over there. Their homes are over there. They have plans. That's just a starting point of my thoughts. Then the rest comes from data and information I'm reading from around the world. I know what they tell me. That tokenization is going to be massive. So we're talking about trillions in value. I'm going to say trillions for now. Trillions in value that's not even being accounted for just yet. Because it hasn't even been dug out of the ground just yet or siphoned out of the ground. All of that value is going to be tokenized. It's going to be tokenized preemptively. Nobody's talking about it. And that will flood these chains that are heavy in there. Why do you think that Ripple is deep in, they're deep in Brazil? In other regions, Algorand's deep in South and Central America. Africa, all these places. Times are changing. The world is changing. So I think what's going to happen, what's happening, you're going to see the prices rise slowly over time. The big companies are going to continue to buy, just like they did the same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a test run for everything else that is to come. I don't think, well, let me save that thought. Bitcoin was a test run. I think you're going to see the same thing happen with a lot of these other utility coins. The utility coin era is going to be massive. Now, here's another thing that people haven't been talking about that they talked about years ago, but it hasn't been mentioned too much since then. Even when it comes to like voting, people have no idea. Voting, I think DLT will play a huge role in that in the future. The people want these, I forgot what they're called, like the voting machines. They want a new type of voting machine or something like that. I've seen that like across the board. Not only that, but with the banks. Okay, now there's other aspects of the banks. Like for instance, all the banks, some of the banks have been getting their accounts frozen. People saw their accounts go to zero. Some of their banks have been getting attacked. Right? Some of them be getting hacked. Insurance companies getting hacked. They've been getting their stuff shut down. Some of these institutions. And DLT can solve a lot of that. They're getting their information stolen. And what do they call that? There's a name for it, guys. What is it? Come on out. Help me out. Send me the mental energies. What are they called? They take the information, the hackers, and they take it off from the institution's servers or whatever they're called. And then they force the institutions to pay money to get it back. Although I don't know why the institutions would trust that. Why would the hackers not make a copy? But anyway, to prevent, DLT can be used to prevent that. You think they don't know that? Now, wait a minute. with all the money that they have and as many brilliant minds as these institutions have, I would think it would be easy to stop that. Here's another possibility. Is it possible? I'm asking you the question. Is it possible they're allowing that to happen on purpose? I said this the other day when it didn't make sense to me with the Bank of America problem. All the accounts went to zero. Well, they weren't really at zero. They just appeared to be zero. That was dangerous. That was dangerous. You know how much deposit flight they caused with that? Whatever it was. Did they elaborate on what that was? So it appeared to be at zero, but the money was still there. Listen, folks, traceability, because of things like that, traceability, independent traceability. I think that one product that these DLT companies could roll out is independent traceability. Like instead of just the bank being able to verify that your money is there and you having to go to their app to verify it's there, maybe you have a mirror of that inside your wallet, right? The bank can act as the custodier, but you can independently verify that your value is still there through your cold wallet or your hot wallet. You get what I'm saying? I think that's highly possible. You just have a mirrored amount. And because it's DLT, they're both they're both at one with each other, right? They're synchronized, but at the same time, if something happens to one, your value and the record of it is still maintained. That makes sense? You have your own record of your value instead of relying on the banks who have been completely unreliable. Then on top of that, by having that externalized wallet, listen, all of this equals to a bigger amount on those native protocol. You would need those to do the transactions. You would need those to keep the account open. You would need those to have the wallet, right? But anyway, let's say there's a bank run pops off. They can prevent these bank runs. I think one idea, they can prevent these bank runs, and I think this is what they might do, by allowing one to, if there's a bank run that they see beginning, it usually starts with a lot of high money people, then they can send an alert to you, right? And this doesn't have to be facilitated by the banks. It could be, but let's say they're using a third party to provide the wallet technology. Then that third party can detect whether there's a bank run occurring or not, or maybe they get the information from the bank, but they send you a notification, and then you have the option at that moment instantaneously to shift your value from the bank's custody to your cold wallet. I mean, like, am I saying something that already exists? I don't think so. I don't think I've seen that or heard that, or I don't think they have that technology yet. It's something that I'm literally thinking about on the spot right now. And I will believe if I'm thinking about it, that maybe they have already as well. I don't see why that would not be a feature, but I think they're holding back a lot of features. But that feature alone, I think, boost the price of a lot of these native protocol. Then that changes everything with investing. This goes so deep. So now let's end off with a little bit of Bitcoin talk. I give you some of my thoughts here. Bitcoin is, I think it's going to become a rich person's coin. I mean, some people might think that way already, but I think that price is going up significantly. I think the bankers want it to be that way. I think because they can't 100% control Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. They have a lot of control over it, but not 100%. And I think a lot of the legacy whales, not legacy system whales, but how would I say this? Original whales, original crypto whales. I think they're a big thorn in the legacy system side. The maxis that, a lot of people take umbrage to and have a problem with, I think they're actually a really good thing. And people better hope that they actually hold on to their Bitcoin. They hold on to that Bitcoin. There's a balance in power. I'm telling you. And I don't think the big money individuals like that. I don't think the banks like that. But so they want to control as much of Bitcoin as possible, pump that price up as high as possible, take out of as much retail as possible, and use Bitcoin as their own personal piggy bank. Now, once Bitcoin is one whole Bitcoin, it's very difficult for anyone to acquire, any regular person to acquire, majority of the people to acquire. I think that's when they step in with the bank coin. Bank coins will be their toy. There's a lot of bank coins, but look at what they're trying to do globally. There's not enough. There isn't. And I think because of staking and delegating, I think that they're going to use it as their plaything. I do. They will custody certain things and give the people a percentage. But they will keep the lion's share of the percentage. I think a lot of that happens now. A lot of the yield out there on certain things might be like, let's say 4%, but they'll offer you in certain accounts less than 1%. While the bank is lending it out, they're taking that 3%. 3 and 1 is 4. Actually, it was supposed to be 4%, but they're keeping the lion's share and just giving you crumbs off the table. I think the same thing is going to happen with the bank coins, at least a part of it, for those who will have to use the technology after us. And they won't know anything about the actual percentages when it comes to annual percentage yield, when it comes to staking, delegation, etc. I don't think they'll know anything about that. I don't think they'll know about the tokens, but they'll just know they have this wallet. The bank will be the ones who put the XRP there to open the account for the wallet, etc. Or do all the lending with F assets. Which one of these, what regular person is really going to know how much you're supposed to get from F assets? The bank will know that, but they'll dictate how much they're going to take and how much they'll give to the people as they're custodying the F assets. As an example, I'm just giving an example. But I think a lot of that is going to keep. I mean, there's so much here. These native tokens, when it comes time in the future, will be in constant flow and they will be in limited availability. And that can boost these prices out of this world. And every day we're learning a little bit more. Every day we gather a little bit more information. Every day we monitor how this is moving forward, and it's only getting faster and faster and bigger and bigger. Bitcoin now. Closing out with my Bitcoin thoughts, and I hope I gave a good amount. I know I went right back to the utility coins, but I think Bitcoin is being used it's going to be used for a certain purpose. Now, remember, Bitcoin also is going to be available as an F asset also with lending and I think staking and delegation will also probably be possible through F assets. If it's not available first, it'll probably come later. I think this is logical. Bitcoin is looking at a massive explosion. Most of the companies that want to get into Bitcoin are not in position just yet. Unfortunately, I've been seeing a lot of these articles and such like that. We heard Cathie Wood at the beginning of the year say that very thing. And yet they're still taking their time. I don't know why that is. I don't know why. But they made their intentions known to get into Bitcoin. They want to go heavy into Bitcoin. So that's also continuous and occurring, is ongoing. So we have to wait to see how many more big companies get into Bitcoin, which I believe is why the markets have been manipulated. They have been. The jobs numbers are manipulated. So then why, if you had to go back and revise the jobs numbers already one time, and we know that you were lying and you went by the false information, then you come back on this first rate cut and you say, well, we're going by the jobs information. Why not wait until the numbers are revised and we get the real numbers on jobs? So you're just going to go by unrevised numbers again. Like, everything is so manipulated. Then they say something like, well, the stimulus in China didn't work out so good, so Bitcoin took a little bit of a dip. It's stagnating. Whatever. Who thought that the stimulus in China was really going to be that impactful? See, it's like, but the mainstream media will put that information out there. And it's funny because notice how they don't put a lot of positive information about Bitcoin out there. But when it comes to something negative, they definitely jump on that right now. Right. It's market manipulation. So when all that, I think that's occurring because they want to allow these companies a little bit longer to get in position. They want to see how low, don't get me wrong. Bitcoin has gone down and then it's gone up a little bit and then it goes down again. This is a doorway opening. It's a doorway opening. And I think they want their people to get in, and they won't mind if it goes down a little bit lower. So I think they're testing that as well. But once all of them are in position and they remove the negativities, they remove the market manipulation, there's nothing but up for Bitcoin. I don't see any other way, and BlackRock knows it. They want it. I think they come out and say things positive just to test the people every once in a while, just to see if they can move the people or not. If the people aren't moved, they believe that their methods of negative manipulation are effective. So, we shall see. So now that you have that information, a little bit of a different video. We'll go back to the article-based videos tomorrow. Now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.